Welcome back to a new episode of the Style Stories. Today we're going to be stepping off the runway, off the glossy magazine pages, and deep into the world of where silk, leather and couture are just the backdrops. Because this episode isn't about hemlines or pleats, it's about whether someone wore socks or sandals. No, it's about something far juicier. Who sits in the chair? Who claims the throne? And who gets politely or explosively kicked out of the palace altogether? You know, there comes a moment in every art form when the focus shifts from the work itself to the people behind it. And fashion reached that point somewhere between the third TikTok trend of the day and the fifth celebrity captaining the outfit iconic without irony. So what does all this mean? Because in 2025 and now 2026, the fashion world didn't just move chairs around, it went full musical thrones. And trust me, it's not subtle. Let's start where it all feels like most Shakespearean, Versace. The house once defined by opulence, power shoulders, and the kind of glamour that makes you, wow, rather than where did I put all my savings? Can I afford it? Donatella Versace, the queen of rock and roll tailoring, stylist guru, and the woman who made Baroque prints feel like haute couture, finally stepped aside from the creative director throne. Not to retire to the beach house in Capri with a bottle of rosé and no press releases, but because fashion was just coming to the point where we're talking about business. Business, and it's also about beauty. So, what happens here? Enter Dario Vitale, previously at Miu Miu, the brand that makes you feel young, sharp, and sometimes slightly confused in a cool way. He swaggered into the Versace as a prince, handed the crown, ready to write the new chapter, and then, here's the delicious part, his reign lasted not even one season before he abdicated the throne of the maison. One season, one runway, and then poof, vaporized. The kind of departure that usually reserved for mid-soap opera weddings. No. Fashion watchers were still debating whether he left over the creative differences, the corporate chess moves, or traumatic realization that Versace prints are harder to tame than a squirrel on an espresso. After Vitale's abdication, the role of creative director of the iconic Medusa emblazoned house was entrusted to Peter Mullier, who is set to begin his pontificate at the start of July of this year. That's going to be interesting. Meanwhile, at Dior, the house always feels like a relic and a revolution all at the same time. A couture monastery run by secret style monks whispering legendary in the echoing chambers. For 9 years, Maria Grazia Chiuri was the creative director, writing manifestos in fabrics with that feminist, thoughtful and deliberately urgent. And then she left, just like that. Well, maybe not just like that. But because inspiration ran dry, not because scissors were misplaced, but because Dior apparently wanted a fresh voice. Maria Grazia Chiuri handed the maison over to Jonathan Anderson, previously in charge of Dior Men, while the famous Roman brand Fendi was already waiting with open arms to welcome her. And now there's a very entertaining story, like a dog chasing its tail. The story involves 3 designers and 3 maisons. Then there's Gucci and Balenciaga, and the saga that could easily be subtitled Fashion Thrones, remix of course. At Gucci, Demna Gvasalia, I hope I pronounced that correctly, the man who made oversized silhouettes and logo-fearless statements a global fetish, arrived to shake things up. Whether he was handpicked or somebody lost a bet, the launch of the Gucci's La Famiglia campaign exploded online, hailed as a genius by some, and a mood that my credit card isn't ready for it by others. At Balenciaga, with them moving to Gucci, a new captain was needed. Pierpaolo Piccioli, previously at Valentino, known for his work that was tender, bold, and heartbreakingly beautiful, stepped in. His first collection at Balenciaga was not only highly anticipated, but dissected for its meaning. Proof that when someone renowned for poetry and stitching enters a brand, once known for chaos, anything can happen. And then there's Chanel, where aristocracy meets rebellion. Mathieu Blazy, who took the scepter for the century-old French maison, was kindly handed the reins by Virginie Viard. Blazy is practically a unicorn, gentle, thoughtful, quietly subverting expectations. His debut collections are analysed not just for the shape and cut, but for what they reveal about Chanel soul. Critics and gossip forums debate whether Chanel is turning introspective or simply tired of being everybody's chilly aunt. These leadership changes prove that legacy is not static. It's negotiated, performed, and sometimes tossed out of the window if a fresher idea comes into the room. The ripple effects spread across the brands. Bottega Veneta's creative leadership changes, David Kormer at Blue Marine sending glossy memes through fashion group chats, and smaller houses whose leadership dramas thrive on forums and editorial teasers. It's great. That's what fashion's about. The world has changed when the gossip subreddit often has more insight into creative politics than mainstream outlets. The true fashion disciples debate whether Demna burned Guccieville to the ground or built a pyramid instead. Sometimes industry feels like a soap opera, with better tailoring, of course. Now the shows themselves. Well, the stage is just as important as the throne. Fashion weeks are not just about clothes on catwalks. They're about rituals, performances, sometimes bordering on theatre, and it's also about money. Every second step, every glance is measured. Backstage, assistants, stylists, hair teams and casting directors execute the vision of someone that has been appointed yesterday and already has everyone questioning the universe. Front row seats are a theatre of their own, celebrities balancing PR obligations, editors scribbling faster than a press conference and buyers calculating ROI, while Instagrammers capture everything but on the frame. Models glide with their personality of their own, and the stylists argue secretly with designers over coat cuffs. 90 degrees versus 92 critics are merciless. Tweets, live blogs and Instagram captions scrutinise whether the collection honours heritage, shocks an audiences or merely exists. Some shows are praised, others ridiculed, and the truly legendary ones are dissected for months. The runway is never just a presentation, it's a statement, a provocation, a conversation. All these thrones change. Gossip, runway, spectacles, and the social media debates converge to redefine what luxury fashion really is. It's not just the silk, leather or cashmere. It's a narrative, identity and authority. And remember, it's business. A brand's voice is inseparable from its leader, and creating a collection is inseparable from claiming a cultural throne. Every stitch becomes a word, every silhouette a sentence, and every creative director a storyteller. This is why someone like Dario Vitale, whose reign at Versace barely lasted a season, becomes folklore. Even briefly, a creative director shapes perception, rumour and expectations. So as we sit here sipping our metaphorical espresso, what does all this mean? These throne shifts, runway debuts, gossip and fever are not just entertainment. They are fashion as cultural dialogue, a message and reflection of how things can change quickly. The creative leadership changes at Dior, Chanel, Gucci and Balenciaga when Versace's dramatic kingdom ended almost as soon as it began. These moments are statements. They are choices about identity, risk and how a brand positions itself in the world, demanding meaning beyond surface. As we close this episode, which reads less than a fashion report and more about a chronicle of power, identity and ever-shifting thrones, remember this: the chairs may move, but the questions remain. Who are we? What do we want fashion to mean? And who gets to tell the story? These are not trivial questions, and they will not be answered overnight. They will be answered on the runway, in the studios, in the boardrooms, on the market, and yes, on your social feed. And just like episodes of The Style Story, this isn't the end of the neatly wrapped chapter. It's the beginning of another conversation, a place to keep asking better questions. Join us in our next episode and we'll be diving into Cerruti, one of the great names made in Italy, a house whose legacy is legendary, but slowly fading, unfortunately, from the memory of many of us. We'll explore what made Cerruti unique, why it mattered, and how its story still resonates in fashion today. Because understanding the past is how we make sense of the present and the future. Fashion doesn't start on the runway. It starts long before, in the ateliers, the studios, and in the legacy of the names, that shaped the craft. Subscribe and follow us because this is Style Icon Stories.